Hello friends and welcome. We're going to be crocheting with a Tunisian simple stitch and we're going to be making a tapestry of my favorite Hazbin hotel character Velvet. And I do bear with me, the most of the background is going to be a darker kind of yarn, and I know it's hard to look at and watch, and even in real life it's a little bit harder to tell where the stitches are, but bear with me. I'm actually going to try and show you how we're going to create this, because we're going to be using a Tunisian simple stitch for this. And for this particular tapestry we're going to need a rather longer crochet hook. This is a Tunisian crochet hook, or you can always get the regular crochet hook and attach a little bit of a back or a spare piece of yarn for you to work with, because you're going to need a lot of space, because we need to have all of our stitches in our hook all at once for multiple reasons, and because it actually corresponds to kind of knitting but not really, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Anyway, I'm going to be actually adding a row at the very beginning of our pattern, because the original pattern has the hearts of velvet starting at the foundation chains, and I am not about to change my colors within the foundation chain, so I'm going to just add a solid black color to the very beginning. So let's get started. And for Tunisian simple stitch, we're going to turn our chains to the back side. If you run your fingers, you'll feel little bumps, and those are the bumps that we need to work on too for the Tunisian simple stitch. The very first bump right here, as you can see, corresponds to this stitch, and this stitch always counts as one. So we're going to go straight to the second stitch, and we're going to insert our hook, yarn over and pull, and we're going to continue all the way down our row, inserting our hook onto that bump, yarning over and pulling, and we're supposed to keep our stitches within our hook. And your crochet hook should look just like this. Mine is a little bit on the cramps side. Ideally you would like for all of your stitches to be able to move them freely, but some of them bunch up. It's not too bad, but ideally you would like a little bit more space. Anyway, for Tunisian simple stitch, you always work twice onto one row. You go forwards and you go backwards, and we're going to do our return pass. We're going to chain one onto the very last stitch, yarn over, pull, and that's it. We're going to yarn over and pull through two of our stitches, 1 and 2, and again 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to continue and do this motion all the way down our row. Well, now if you did it correctly, you're supposed to end up with one stitch on your hook. Our very next row, which is the first row for the original pattern, starts with a red stitch. So what we want to do is for this stitch to be red. What we're going to do is we're going to undo this last stitch that we did. So we want to go back to having 2 stitches on our hook. We're gonna grab our new color, in this case is going to be red, And we're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 black stitches with our red color, just like this. And this practically ensures that our next row, the very first stitch, starts with the color that we want. Now we need to do 4 more red stitches for a total of 5 stitches, and I'm going to show you how to do the repeat for the rest of our project. We're going to insert our hook onto the front loop only of our previous row, so this loop right here. We're going to yarn over, pull, and we're going to keep that stitch in our hook. Again, only that front stitch of our previous row, and we're going to do this 2 more times. I like to move my tail back and forth so that it catches with the stitches. And now we have 5 red stitches. Now we're going to drop our red. We're going to pick up our black where we left it off. And we're going to do exactly the same thing, the front loop only of our previous row. Yarn over with our black, making sure that since we're going to pick it up all the way from over here, that this back yarn is nice and loose. We're going to do this for 4 stitches. And then for our very next heart, we just pull our red from all the way over here, and we do this for 10 stitches. At this point, I would like to introduce a new cake of yarn for this black portion after this big heart, because I just think it creates a little bit too much of a waste. More than 10 stitches, more than 4 stitches like this one, I think it creates a lot more waste. So I'm just going to introduce another piece of black yarn for that in between the hearts. And after this 6 black stitches, I'm also going to introduce another cake of yarn for the next heart, just so that I don't create that much waste. And this heart is supposed to be 11 stitches. I'm going to opt and introduce a second, or now a third cake of black yarn for the rest of Velvet's outfit. And this last stretch of black yarn should be 14 stitches long. So now we're going to always chain 1 onto the very last stitch. So we grab our yarn, pull through, and then we're going to grab our yarn and pull through 2 and 2 all the way. I'll tell you when to stop. And whenever you reach this point right here, always remember that the general rule is whenever you have 2 different color stitches in your hook, the first and second, you always use a second color stitch to pull through both of those stitches. So we're going to drop our black, pick up our red, and we're going to yarn over and pull through that black and through that very first red stitch. And we just grab our yarn and pull through 2 and pull through 2 all the way until we reach those points that I told you about. Right here, we use that black color stitch to pull through. So we drop our red, pick up our black, yarn over, and pull through that red and through that very first black stitch. And we just continue to pull through. And again, a color switch. And our final color switch. And your second row should look just like this one. And this is where I actually going to leave the explanation part of the video, because actually you just learned everything that you needed to know about Tunisian simple stitch. And of course, down below in the description I leave the Pinterest pin that I'm following, or you can always take a screenshot of the picture on screen. But right now I'll leave you with a time lapse of how I make this beautiful, very stunning tapestry. And I do apologize, it is not a full tutorial, but rest assured that everything you need to know is here in these 2 rows.